of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
I'll second.
Any comments, changes? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Do you have anybody online?
Jason's online.
Jason? Yeah.
All right, item 3. Presentation recognition. You'd like to introduce the teacher of the year.
I'm not gonna give a nice long speech like I did at convocation, which was supposed to be about 12 minutes. It turned into 20. But I
It was a
just,
good 20.
It was good.
It was a good 20.
well, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
congrats.
I just really love this district. And I just talked about how I've been here for 25 years and,
Chris, I don't think you said your name though, in case for the record.
oh, Chris Napolitano. And then I spent 25 years at Memorial School and I loved every minute of it. So I'm adjusting this year to being a strong in Lyman, but started finally get to work with kids a little bit today while I'm doing some math screeners. So excited for another great school year. And with all the changes and everything, it's still going to be great. So I really appreciate the honor, just because I know that there's a lot of really amazing teachers that I've seen firsthand working in their classrooms as well. So it is really appreciated, and I do really appreciate.
How is strong going?
It's good. It's good. I think I know the big traffic line has really reduced quite a bit the couple of mornings that I've been out there since the first day, and I think things are going pretty well there with that. We're working on getting some schedules in place, and hopefully can start working with students sooner than later in the intervention role.
Kids figured out their rooms and their bathroom and all that stuff.
Yeah, I think there's a little adjustment with that, but I think everybody is finding their way, and I know the strong staff and the Lyman staff have been really welcoming, so it's been a pretty good transition so far.
Great.
I always loved the Teacher of the Year presentation. I was in the classroom for 16 years, never won it. But every time, I know, shocking. But every time the Teacher of the Year was announced and the speech was given, it always, like, you're up there for all of them, right?
Yeah, and that's what I felt, and even like with applying for like the state teacher of the year, like I had no dreams and aspirations of being the state teacher of the
Yeah.
year, but I felt like I owed it to the district and
Right.
for the people that nominated me to go through the process and fill out all the paperwork, and just even when I was speaking, I was just trying to speak almost like an ode to teaching,
Right.
because everybody in the audience knows what we go through every day and what it is.
Yeah, so
Just my
congratulations,
joy for it.
and
Thank you,
it's good
Yeah.
stuff.
thank you,
Well deserved.
thank you.
And I
Had a
just
great
want
year.
to add that just as personally having just seen the transformation you and impact you had on my own child, I'm very grateful. My daughter had a little bit of a tough 5th grade with math, and I feel like she really succeeded in 6th grade and like did so well. But I think that's really a testament to like all the hard work. you
I'm glad
put
to
in
hear that.
her.
And I did see her the other
She's-
day and
Oh,
you smiled rather than look the other way. So
No. So fortunately, she's just like her mom sometimes. She's a little loud, but hey, you can't miss her.
I like
So,
the energy.
Yeah. So, but no, it really is like a testament to like, that's what I've always said is like, if like the kids are happy and like they don't even like realize what they're doing and how they're getting things, and now things just like come to them, like
Yeah.
forever grateful.
And that was part of my speech too. And I think it piggybacked our restorative practice PD really well. And the fact that, relationships are really critical in schools, and we have to take time to develop those. Because when you do, and especially with my job now, a huge part of my job is getting kids to feel confident. And
Yeah.
if they don't trust you, they're not going to trust themselves to build that confidence. So it's a huge piece of what I do.
I think getting back to tier 1 instruction too, we talked about it a lot and how important it is, knowing how pivotal you are in the math playlists and how much work you've done with that is is
Yeah.
admirable.
I
It's a
think
lot.
last year, there was a lot of learning going on last year and we made a lot of progress. And I think this year is going to be even better with that.
Good to hear.
Do you agree that the social emotional aspect is like number one priority before any learning can happen? I mean, it just seems the demands on that end are necessary but good, and it's something we all realize has to happen if we want to have any positive impact of it. Do
Yeah.
you find that increasing in need, like just?
I think now more than ever, it's important. I mean, if you've read the book, The Anxious Generation, it's these kids, they need to learn those skills, and without those skills and being able to, be happy and be comfortable, then learning it's going to be hard for them to get where they need to get if they're not in the right mindset. So yeah, I think that really ties in with everything that we do. No matter what you teach, whatever subject you teach, that SEL is part of everything and relationships too.
And you like the Mets too.
There's always one of us.
How is your new assistant principal working out?
Oh, she's great. She's great. She's, wow, I wasn't worried about that at all. That was the least of my concerns. That was one of my knowns going into strong, so I'm good with that.
No, it's a big change over there, but I'm glad that everybody's working together.
Yep.
Yeah, it's been great so far.
Great. Thank you very much, Chris.
I was gonna suggest maybe we do what the staff did for Chris after his speech, which is a nice standing ovation.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Great job, bud.
Thank you.
I didn't know, Noelle and Dave, I didn't know if you were planning on saying anything.
I'm happy to talk about Chris and math anytime I can. But Chris, I've been fortunate enough to work with Chris back at Memorial One as a teacher, and then later on when I was doing more of the instructional role, and he was an interventionist, and then as the principal and now an assistant principal. And the characteristic, and I think I said this in my speech when I introduced him at the at convocation, is that characteristic of Chris that kind of makes everyone gravitate towards him is that he creates this like sense of belonging, right? So he immediately makes you feel comfortable. He kind of meets you where you are, even if it's math and you're having a little bit of a difficulty, you need that confidence boost or really confused with something, or even when it's just a colleague coming to him for a suggestion or something that they're having difficulty with, he just meets you where you are, validates you, and then helps you move forward. And that's truly like the essence of why I think he was nominated by so many people. And then even when he wound up becoming the teacher of the year, so many people were like, of course he is, and so I think it's a true credit to him and what he believes in, and that, helps to make a whole sense of community no matter where he's working. And I'm glad he's joined us over at Strong, but I also know how challenging it is to leave a building you've been in for 25 years and that sense of community. But, he embraced it, and through it all, we all kind of learn a little bit more about ourselves too. So kudos to Chris.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I think you're on next.
Yeah, so tonight we have a restorative practices presentation. We're very excited to have Sheila Riffle and Pam Santera with us, and they were our leadership team trainers over the summer. So they have worked with the whole leadership team to get us started with what I would consider a really great foundation for restorative practices. We're very lucky to have them. So tonight's purpose is for them to give the board an overview of restorative practices and a little bit about the work that they did with us.
All right, I assume that's our cue.
That's your cue.
All right, thank you very much, Sydney, and hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having us. We know how precious time is at these meetings, and so to get a spot on there we are very grateful for that. So Pam is going to start sharing her screen. So I'll just do a couple of introductions. One, myself, my name's Sheila Riffle. And as Superintendent Leggett just said, I had the honor of joining my colleague in the initial training with the administration team back in, was that June, July, early July. And Pam, I'll let you introduce yourself, dear.
Hi, everyone. I'm Pam Santerre. I'm an education consultant specializing in student engagement.
And we, restorative practices, a lot of people, when you ask them if they understand what it is, you often will hear, isn't that when people get in a circle and they talk about like what went wrong and how things can be fixed? And while that is certainly a component, all of your amazing leaders there can tell you there's a lot more to it than that. And we hope that by the time we are finished talking to you in this short period of time to give you the overview, that you are going to already recognize all those qualities that come along with the practice of restorative practices in every single one of your leaders there. So Pam, can you go ahead and go to the next slide, please? So we thought, we have scoured the internet since becoming trained as trainers for just the right video that captures in a very concise way what restorative practices really are. There are many, many videos out there, and from all the videos we've seen, we thought we would share. Actually, Pam, you're the one that has to click that. I think share this one with you because it really just puts it all together in a nutshell.
That's funny. Good for them.
In Regional School District 13, we believe in growing a strong, supportive community where every student feels safe, valued, and connected.
Sorry.
All right. So we assume that you've all seen this. That's okay. We assume that you've seen
Our
this.
mission is to empower students to
Oh, no.
thrive and
You wanna
contribute.
play it? We're
Sure,
both
we can play it.
completely different places. I'm in the city. I'm in New York City right now. Pam's out in the country. We assume that you've all seen this video, and we're happy to play it. However, we would encourage you, if you haven't seen it yet, to please give it a look, if not 3 or 4. And I just want to start by saying Pam and I were so incredibly proud of your administrative team, both throughout the 2 days we got to work with them, and then to have not been with them for a couple of months, and then see their summary and their overview of restorative practices in this realm. Truly was like both of us. It made our hearts sing. I don't want to talk for you, Pam, but I mean, I think we agreed. It was
Proud teacher moment. I told you. I
yeah,
texted you.
right.
Proud
They
teacher
nailed
moment.
it. They nailed it, which is great because we only have 10 minutes and that's going to make our job a lot easier. So if we could go back to the PowerPoint, please.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you. And really, the nutshell of restorative practices is, and these aren't our words, but when we found this very simple, concise sentence, it just feels like it gets right at the heart of it. It really is about the science of relationships and communities. So Pam and I are just going to ping pong back and forth here, and then we're going to leave some time for questions. So go for it, Ms. Pam.
So one of the things that I just wanted to share is that restorative practices is a approach that has been done all over the world, and was built on some worldwide influence. So the restorative circles comes from the Maori people of New Zealand. And there are lots of different companies out there, especially after there's lots of legislation that said that states are requiring restorative practices. My inbox started filling up with Corwin is doing restorative practices training, and all of these are doing restorative practices training. So restorative practices isn't something that is a trademarked curriculum. It's something that's used all over the world in lots of different approaches. The approach that Sheila and I have been trained in is from the International Institute for Restorative Practices. It's probably one of the most established restorative practices trainings. A lot of folks that you'll see who are moving on and elsewhere, they get their start in their initial training with the IARP. But just so it's not a curriculum, it is an approach. And the aim is to develop community and manage conflict by repairing harm and restoring relationships. And one of the key words here for me was restore, right? And when we often work with teachers and students, we'll ask them like, have you, when there's a conflict, have you had a conversation with a student? Have you talked with them about what happened? Oh, I don't really know that student. We don't really get along. I'm like, well, what have you done to build relationships? I sent out a survey at the beginning of the year. Okay. Well, in any friendship, marriage, or relationship, right, it takes work to build that relationship and sustain it. Conflicts are natural, they do arise. That you have heart of restorative practices, it's that building of community, building of relationships between students and staff, between students and families, so that when there is a natural conflict, that there is a relationship to bring back to. It also focuses on the repairing of harm. So it's not something we'll talk about later. It's not something that happens without consequences. It's consequences plus a conversation about who was harmed, what was the harm, what was the impact of the act, and then what can we do to make things right. Take it away, Sheila.
All right. So really, there's two overarching, and we're not going to go through every part of restorative practices in this manner. Actually, we just want to talk about the implicit and the explicit. So a key concept is for leaders, teachers, anyone who has a role, which is pretty much everyone within a community, whether it's a school community or your neighborhood, your family, to make your intentions explicit. And what we found working with your administrative team is that the team and many other educators that we've both known over the years, relationships, of course, are the most important thing to them. And they pride themselves on building positive relationships wherever they can with everyone who is part of the school community. The difference that restorative practices asks you to dive into is it's one thing and you can go ahead and click away, Pam. It's one thing to just, put something out there and expect that everyone knows what you're talking about. It's another thing to make it explicit. So we created this little example. It actually comes from an experience that I had, many years ago. And our slides are a little funky right now, but that's okay. So really in the first slide on the implicit, the leader's saying, I want your input. I want to hear from you. Teachers say, well, last time we gave you input, you didn't really do anything with it. And then the leader's like, well, I just thought you assumed that I was just taking that information. Restorative practices really focuses on, you need to make it, and we can go to the next slide, please. You need to make it explicit. You need to, when you are so intentional on building community, sorry. You can go ahead, Pam. You can go ahead and go on to that next one, because that I think is really where it lands. Yeah. When you are so intentional on building community and you make it clear that that's what we are about, that we are people first and everything else comes after that. I mean, it really brings to life the they don't care what you know until they know that you care concept. So this actually was a diagram that we found online that we felt, and we obviously added to it to personalize it for Region 13. But as Pam said, it's about building a community. And then if you have all those pieces in place, it's never going to be perfect. We can always strive for that. But once those pieces are in place, and then there's a breakdown somewhere, then you have something to repair. But if you don't have that community piece up front and you haven't taken those steps, then often, especially with teenagers, I will say from my own experiences, if there's no connection to people, then it's harder for them to see the results of a bad choice or a negative decision. So the concept behind restorative practices is really 80% proactive, because you're doing all the things to build community, and 20% is responding to issues as they come up. Pam?
And one of the things about this is that its community is a broad encompassing version. When you look at other school districts who have incorporated restorative practices, and we started seeing this happen with Region 13 when we were working with the administrators, is that there becomes these natural things about, well, what would this look like on the athletic field? What would this look like on the school bus? Right? How can we maybe help share this information that we're learning with families, and how could that look? How could we communicate that? What kinds of things could we advise them of? It becomes something that could be part of a larger conversation about how might we think about restorative practices in talking about community conflict. And that's something that comes from educators, but as someone who was lucky enough to teach in a school where restorative practices was the heart of everything we did, we saw kids who had learned it in the classroom who were taking it into their own interpersonal relationships. I had a student who had an issue outside of the classroom with a couple of other girls, and she came over and she's like, I need you to facilitate a restorative conference right now. She knew that we were languaging that we had used in class to talk about things in classes. She wanted you to circle with these girls to talk about something that was going on outside of school. And really, as someone who learned restorative practices, I realized through my learning and practice that it was so much bigger than the schools and community. It became something I did with my stepsons. Became something that I practice in my family. It's a large encompassing thing. And that brings us to kind of the idea of like a good, with what Sheila was talking about, an explicit framework. This is a social engagement window. This is something that's kind of at the heart of IARP or in restorative practices. And this is this idea of thinking about your relationships and how you interact or engage with others through a lens of what kinds of control or kinds of support are you providing? And then what kinds of accountability are you offering? Right now, so for example, right, we think about teachers that you've had in the past, that we've all had in the past, that they were those types of teachers who had lots of rules, who were kind of the because I said so, right? They had a lot of high expectations for students, but they might not have offered a lot of support. And then we had people on the other side, right, who were very permissive. They were, over helpful. They didn't have high expectations. Oh, I can do that for you. That is the lowering of expectations for a person, right? And then over here on this window here, we have low expectations and also low accountability, which we consider neglectful, right? Or the not. I'm just indifferent or passive. There, I just can't do it. Where restorative practices lies is in this blue box, which is having high accountability and high expectations for students, while also providing that high level of support as needed. So if students are able to achieve at a high level, those supports can be backed off. But if students need that support to have high expectations, to live up to those high expectations, then that's there as well. And what's really important about this social engagement window is that it's not a rating scale or an evaluation, right? There are times where I, as an educator or as an administrator or as a stepmom, I tap danced between the two box with my stepson, especially, right? Like, I just need you to do your homework, all right? And then it would get to be midnight. I know we've got an early night, and I would pounce back into the 4 of, I'm just going to do it for you because I just need this project done and I don't want to think about it anymore, right? It's not a judgment on the practitioner. What it is that restorative practices is a magnet, it's an anchor that we try to pull towards when we're having conversations and evaluating. How can I pair those high expectations with high levels of support?
What you think?
And I know this sounds like a lot, right? And as a teacher, and when I work with that, it's something that like I can't add. Am I glitching, Sheila? Yeah,
Yes.
sorry.
I
Sorry.
don't know if it was just me.
Sometimes it helps to turn off your video.
Let me do that. Sorry. I told Sheila said I'm in the country. I apologize. That better?
Yeah.
All right. So one of the things that I hear a lot with teachers is I've got too much else to do. I don't have enough time to add something else to my plate. And one of the things with restorative practice we talk about, well, it is the plate. It is the basis of all the things that you did. And one of my most memorable takeaways
We're losing you again.
You're still glitching, Pamela.
the time I spent with the Region 13 administrator. No.
She's us? No, it's probably her.
So, yeah, because the other one's not glitching.
Sheila, could you take over? I'm sorry.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let me know if I start with a similar issue. I think what Pam was trying to say is that in spending time with your leadership team and learning about the different areas of focus that Region 13 has been engaging in, there are so many pieces in place that automatically fall under restorative practices. And while if we were to, break it down each, one plate at a time, if you will, they wouldn't fully fit under the umbrella necessarily, but there are bits and pieces from everything. And when you really break it down, restorative practice is about utilizing the concepts, and our last and final slide is coming up next, and it really just kind of highlights the different components that come along with it. And for some people, it may be you just have to rethink your language at times. You need to consider that when people are shamed, there's a cycle that they can go through, and it can be avoidance, it can be withdrawal, it can be attack. And so holding someone accountable does not have to feel like shame. It can be very direct, it can be straight and to the point, and it can keep people engaged. Because the more that you keep students, colleagues, one another engaged, the more likely we are to not repeat the same harmful behaviors. So it's hard to put this in a nutshell. Obviously, with this graphic, we really just wanted to highlight the fact that, and I'm using my mouse like you can see me, like it's a laser pointer here. But if you, thank you, Pam. If you look over at, the circles and the restorative conferences, there is a definite strategy and a process to both of those. Restorative conferences get a lot more obviously focused on an issue where you have to, someone is trying to repair. But as Pam said, there's this misconception out there that a circle or a restorative conference is there was a show on HBO a few years ago, and I shouldn't admit that I saw it, but I did see it, and it was about a school, and they're like making popcorn, and the kids are sitting in a circle. That's not what it is. That was a satire, if you will. It is really about helping young people or helping people hold themselves accountable to the good of the group. The reason for the circle, if you think about just in our history as a people, we sit around the campfire. We put rings on to commit in relationships. They are like the circle has it represents connection. And the other thing about the circle, and I believe if I remember correctly, you all are going to be doing some circle work in a retreat, or you did do some circle work in a retreat. but it really also levels the playing field. What was that, Sydney? Did you already do that?
Did it last week, yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. And it can feel really weird for some people at first. And for other people, it might feel like, oh my gosh, I'm home finally. This is great. This is my jam. Um, but once people realize that everybody's on an even playing field in that moment, then that's where real change can happen. And so these other concepts under the umbrella are, there's a lot more to the restorative practice training process and learning process than obviously a short presentation. I think the biggest thing we want you to know as a Board of Education is how impressed we were with your administrative team and what a joy it was to work with every single one of them. It was 2 days, and in some ways it felt like 10 minutes. In other ways, it felt like we'd known them for, several school years. Everybody came in with an open mind, an open heart, and just the way they interacted with one another and the conversations that were happening around issues, that could come up in school. It is clear that you have a people first team, and it was truly an honor for us to work with them. And we want to support Region 13 in any way we can. And truly, we were being only just a little bit playful with the video in the beginning, and yet they did a phenomenal job of just putting it all into a concise explanation. So we've gone our obligatory more than 10 minutes, our overrun. And we also would like to offer up time for questions if you have any, or if Sydney, if there's not time for that, we can certainly do it another time, whatever you think.
Does the board have any pressing questions?
I do. I have two quick ones. When it comes to this restorative practice training and we're talking about how it might be harder for kids, do you ever run mock circles where there's a conflict given and each person has a conflict and you work through that? So I'm wondering how many kids are really going to have a hard time struggling when they're already having conflicts in order to understand the mainframe behind it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with the conferences, it would be, I think really to start, it would be a trained facilitator, so a trained teacher or someone who has gone through the restorative conferences training, who would be the person who would be running it. Eventually, I worked in a school where kids were trained to do the conference themselves. But really, I think the key is that whoever's facilitating is not either the perpetrator, for lack of a better word, or the person who was harmed. But that is a separate set of training. You do get into a little bit of that with just your everyday classroom circles. Just talking about, hey, guys, you're coming in late every day. Like here's let me talk about what the impact is on me and on the rest of the students. We have a kind of informal circle. But when it comes to something that's a little bit more involved or intense, that would be a 2-day restorative conferences training that those identified in your district would go through. Sheila and I, with the administration, did the 2-day restorative practices overview training, which touches on the restorative conferences, but doesn't dive deep into that.
So essentially they're not needed because they work them into everyday classroom life. Is that?
So there's the proact. Let me go back just a little bit. Sorry, hold on.
That certainly is a part of it. I mean, I think, I'm more of a high school practitioner. I was in high school most of my career in public education. And yet I feel strongly that if you're explicit, if students understand what it is that you're trying to build from the get-go, and that doesn't mean that every conversation is a circle, every day is a circle. It's a practice that becomes part of the routine. And I've observed kindergarten classrooms that do a circle-like check-in every morning. And I think the explicit is the important piece there, that you're helping students to understand why we're doing this And you're also leaving that space for them to discover, like with Pam's example, the young woman who was like, we need a restorative circle. I need you to pull these people together. You want them to also discover it, and that takes time.
So there's the proactive circle situation, which in the school that I was in, the expectation was that we did one circle per class per week. And that could be a community building, or it could be academic, or both. And usually that what I did was it was a mixture. Like we talked about like what's going on, what's your glows and grows of the week, and then had a conversation about what's hard for you this week with the papers we're writing or the books that we're reading. That's the proactive. And as Sheila was mentioning before, 80% of restorative practices is that proactive relationship building. That 20% is the responsive to, and that can be done in those classroom circles, or it can be done in a more formal style of restorative conferences,
Great.
which I was speaking to earlier.
No, that's great. The other question I had is, how does restorative practices deal with individuals who don't want to participate within it, and it's necessary in order for them to participate to come to some sort of
Repair.
repair? Good word. Yeah.
You want to feel that, Sheila? Sheila, you're muted, my friend.
There's a reason I have a mug that says you're muted. Yeah, so I know that Pam as a teacher ran restorative circles, and so she can speak to what her experiences were with that specifically. I can tell you that, first of all, anything that is forced upon someone, especially if you're looking to use it in a restorative conference manner and you're trying to repair an issue, forcing, I'll own this as a personal opinion. Forcing is just, it's not authentic. I mean, if I say to a student, you need to go apologize to Mrs. Snowflake, and Mrs. Snow, I only use that word because, sorry, I only use that word because it's the name that I've always used. But you need to go apologize to Mrs. Snowflake. Well, I don't think I owe her an apology. You just need to go apologize and everything will be fine. That we're telling them a lie. That's not. So I think you have to meet people where they are. And again, the idea is that over time, once that community is built, there is power in not wanting to let others down. Sometimes you just have to give people the time and space. And when they recognize that others are going to continue, they more often than not are more likely to over time get involved. And Pam, I don't know if you can speak to experiences with it on
Yeah,
your.
I think it's important that it's not in supplement or it's not supplanting consequences, that depending on the incident we're talking about, there is a logical consequence that's identified in your handbook about something, but it's also paired with that conversation, and helping students understand those conversations can feel uncomfortable. It's hard to be sitting there and have to hear that you caused harm to a community or people that you care about. I think one of the things that we talk with teachers when we get into the circle of shame is that if they are avoiding the conversation, that means that they care. If they didn't care, they wouldn't avoid. They didn't care that they harmed somebody, they wouldn't try to avoid the conversation, right? So with restorative conferences, there's a real clear structure where the person who was harmed is the first person to speak and offers the opportunity for the perpetrator to have the conversation to say how are they harmed. If they don't have any answers, right? Sometimes if you know that about a student, you have a pre-conference meeting with that person before, right? I wouldn't bring kids in the heat of a thing to have that restorative conferences because they're not in the right headspace to have that conversation. There's a lot of pre-work that goes into it, and it could involve having a pre-meeting with that person to help them prepare for the conference. And if they have nothing to say, then that's, closing the door on the conference. And then the facilitator might have a separate sidebar conversation with that student of what's going on. I feel it's really hard for you, and maybe offering them another alternative to demonstrating and expressing the apology, but also the steps they're going to take to repair the harm.
Yeah, the only thing I want to add to that too, is that oftentimes, I mean, these conversations like this, and again, we're kind of focusing on the repair conference. Um, but conversations like this are difficult and they make people feel vulnerable. And so, oftentimes the other side to the yes, there are additional consequences, or there may be additional consequences, is sometimes going through that process is consequence enough, because the bottom line is sanctions without learning and reflection are just punishment. They're not consequence. There has to be learning and there has to be reflection. And if that is missing, then there's a hole in the community that has been built. So that was probably a lot for answers to your question. I hope that we were thorough.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions?
No, thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
for
so much.
having us tonight.
Thank you. Make it a great rest of the week. And seriously, your team rocks. Sydney, we want to come back and see you.
Excellent.
All right.
Too.
Bye-bye, everyone.
much.
Thank
Take care.
you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
For the record, I didn't tell them to say our video was the best video. They must have come to that conclusion on their own.
No, they were great.
Thank you. The next item on agenda is public comment. Let's see, want to just read the notice first.
I have this is working. I have a statement, it's a read before a public comment it's been read before, but there's been some changes in it. So the board strongly believes in here, I don't think it's on.
It's just the bottom button needs to be on. I'll get it.
Middle circle. Yeah. Gotta hold it down.
Oh,
there you go.
The board strongly believes in hearing from the public. We offer 2 public sessions at each meeting for this very purpose. The only exceptions to these are when special or emergency meetings require a specific agenda. It's critical that public input is a time for people to speak and for the board to listen. Therefore, we want to reiterate the following protocols. As a reminder, this is to ensure there's always an avenue for the board to hear your concerns. Everyone will listen respectfully during the time someone is speaking. As a reminder, each person speaking has 3 minutes. This is 1 3-minute time speaking, not a repeated 3 minutes amongst other speakers. When someone is speaking, there will be no interruptions by anyone else present at the meeting, either in person or online. Interruptions can be spoken, other noises, expressions, side conversations, and/or commotions. A board member may interrupt if the content is violating any policies. There will be no profanity or inappropriate language. There will be no discussion of specific children or employees during public input. The board will not engage in debate or respond to statements. The board may ask clarifying questions or provide clarifying information. Board responses to public comments usually occur at future meetings or through other appropriate channels.
Right, we have anybody have public comment? Anybody online?
I don't see any hands up on mine.
All right, if not, we move on to item 5, approval of the minutes of the Board of Education meeting of August 13th, 2025. Have a motion to approve it?
So moved.
Second. Any comment or corrections?
I have a couple of changes.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
have one.
Go ahead.
The one I had, and I could be mistaken, it says that I made the motion to approve the minutes from the July 16th. I don't think I did. I didn't go back to the video to look. So if I did, then I certainly
Check that.
didn't have the video, but if I didn't, then you'll find out who the person
Yeah.
is. So I didn't get that far today. Sorry.
Motion on the approval of minutes.
Yes. Mhm.
Lindsay?
We're looking at August 13th, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Page 6, under chairman update, Mr. Moore stated he attended a CABE meeting. I want to change it to CABE conference, which is what you said, which included a panel on advocacy for legislators. Change it to which was said, which included a panel Lindsay ran on advocacy for the legislators. Third paragraph, Mr. Moore shared that a newsletter was distributed to all residents and thanked the students and staff for their help. Change to was distributed digitally via Parent Square, and that we are working to get a hard copy to residents.
Right.
That's all I have.
Any other changes? The motion to accept the minutes we already did, all in favor of those of the minutes as changed?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. I know there's other minutes done, but we haven't put them on the agenda yet, only for technical reasons. Superintendent's report, Dr. Leggett.
Thanks. I really enjoyed my very first convocation in Region 13, so that was wonderful. It was a really fantastic, positive day, helping us get off to a great start. I think overall, it's been a really good, strong, positive start with school. Like every start to the year, we have a couple of kinks to work out here and there, but I would say it's really just been a happy, joyful, as we talked about, time for kids to come back in and for staff as well. We are working on finalizing our curriculum contract with ACES. That's going really well. One thing that I did want to put out there is we are always in need of substitute teachers. This helps us not only on the times when people are sick, but for us to move professional development further. We do need people to be our substitute teachers so we can keep that going, that kind of curriculum work. So maybe if you know some people who might be interested, please pass the word along. We're excited that we're sending 4 teachers to an AI, artificial intelligence consortium through ACES. And that will be our 3 library media specialists and 1 content area classroom teacher. And they'll be working with a consortium of districts across the region and the state on developing policies, instructional guidelines, and best practices. So I think that's an ideal way to get this work done to be able to move forward. You already heard our presentation about restorative practices, so we're excited that was a great intro for staff at the beginning of the year as well. And this year we have a theme every month with restorative practices and our core ethical values. So just to remind everybody that our September theme is focusing on building our community. We all belong, and it's kind of how it connects to our core ethical value of respect. Everything else is pretty straightforward and things that are going to come up in the meeting elsewhere. I did want to highlight 2 more things. One is the school district resolution procedure went out, and we also had that accompany the what to do when information sheet. So when people are really looking for help, that they have a sort of a quick resource to say, if I'm having trouble with housing, if I'm having trouble with meals, if if I'm worried about this or whatever, that there's a what to do when, and we give a brief, I think it's a 2-pager about that, and hopefully that's a good resource for families. And the resolution procedure, we've had good feedback so far about people redirecting and having those good, conversations with each other before it escalates to the next level. So we hope that continues. And then the other thing is that if the board is open to this, I mentioned that we have an owl camera. It does look like an owl. It does actually hoot when you turn it on. It has eyes that come on. But we are having trouble still finding a transcriptionist and a minutes taker for the meetings. We know that they're recorded, but we're having trouble finding somebody to continue that work. 2 things is, one, we might in an interim period need to use some recording in AI to try and do some transcription, just to let you know that that's coming. And also we have heard from some members of the community in terms of streaming the board meetings that sometimes YouTube can be glitchy, or it can be hard to hear, or there's a delay. If the board is willing, we wanted to try at our October meeting, using the OWL camera to do the board meeting, and it would stream directly to Zoom. So we wouldn't have that kind of delay and those glitchy things going to YouTube. So it would go directly to Zoom, so everybody could still see and hear it live stream. And then it would just be uploaded to YouTube the next day as usual. So it would still eventually wind up on YouTube, but we think it would probably be a better, more streamlined process. So it's also got like a nice, it's got a nice visual where you get to see everybody who's in the room. We've been doing some of the testing of the mic. It seems to pick up the sound really well. People can still come in and speak remote public comment well. And it will be a test run if you're open to doing that in October.
Can we do a test run like at a committee meeting? Is there a committee meeting prior to the October meeting? I only think just because usually committee meetings are a little less attended, and so this way, if there are glitches or things we need to work out, we're prepared for the October meeting.
I think that's a great idea. The only problem is if those committee meetings aren't attended by people remotely, like, will we get the feedback? I mean, we could probably try and arrange for specific people to attend remotely.
Yeah,
But
well, or like if one of us were remote or something like that.
Well, Zoom will still be standalone, right? Or will participants online not be through?
it'll still be Zoom.
So anyone that's logged into Zoom, that will
See it.
hear it no matter what, even if the OWL is not functioning correctly.
Right.
Right.
Oh,
I think the next policy is the next meeting, I think, right?
Yeah.
We could run it at policy.
We run it at both and just see how it works for a small.
Yeah,
So then just those meetings, do the usual setup for October, and then if it works for those meetings, we try the OWL for the November board meeting.
And is the intent to record and upload committee meetings as well as regular meetings?
For any standing board committee meeting, we will have the OWL work to record those and stream those. Yeah, for the standing committee.
And playback on those, or just to stream them?
And then post them on.
We can post
yeah,
them. Yeah,
and it's better than having no recorder,
yes.
and then
Mhm.
whoever gets transcription can see who's talking.
Right.
Be helpful.
Now, can we run that OWL without district staff?
We can, and it's really easy to run the OWL. Honestly, you plug it in and you change the audio video to OWL. You just need my computer or the district computer. So whoever the chair of whatever committee is being run, you have to make sure that you pick up those things for the committee meeting. And then you literally just plug it in and go.
We'll have a few from each committee in case someone's absent, trained on how to use it.
Mhm. I'm at most of the committee meetings anyway, so I'm a pretty decent backup, but yeah, in the committee work that we started to do at the retreat, we talked about the board or the committee chair being the one responsible for making sure that all of that part is set up.
Yeah, because they have the fob, they can take it back and put it back in central office hours.
and I definitely think doing like an AI like app or something to transcribe minutes, that seems to be the way.
Yeah.
Most people are moving towards, and so that I think definitely makes sense. It's not like perfect.
Yeah.
But it definitely does.
I used Otter a
Pretty
lot in my prior district. The Otter, but the trouble is it does a good job with transcription. It does a good job with picking up speakers, but there's a lot of work after to make sure everything's right.
Yeah, like it's
A
still.
lot more
yeah.
checking.
Mhm.
So someone will still have to do that.
We still need a human being. I think that'll be our theme as we go further into AI. We still need a human being.
And I don't know how much it costs, but I know even with Otter, you can upload it and it gives you two options, whether you want a computer to transcribe it, or if you want it to take a day and they have, an actual human who works for Otter go through and do that.
Sure. I know Ken's been looking into this with different AI tools and transcription things, so he can probably give us a little bit more information.
Yeah, I'll give a talk about. So the OWL, it's got a built-in speaker, microphone, camera, can see in 360. It's basically a giant webcam. So we wouldn't need all of this. We can go mobile if we wanted again, you just need a laptop and this thing. Like I said, built-in speaker. So as the ladies from Learn, we're in here right out of the speaker, right in the center table. And it has the option to show a full panoramic of everybody, but also will highlight 3-4 speakers in different squares. to give a better view. I even was testing it earlier today and sat in the back row as if someone didn't want to come up here for public comment, and it, you know, focused right on them, pick their voices up. So microphone quality is pretty good. In terms of the translation services, yeah, I'm exploring some paid human translation, like Upload, as well as the AI. The benefit, although more cost there, to the human translation services is we don't have to do anything other than our normal peruse the minutes, as opposed to finesse them if we just used AI. So just kind of weighing the cost benefit analysis there.
And does that outweigh hiring someone, do we think?
I mean, I think that would be a decision down the line, but if we're happy with it and it fits within our budget, it's possibly a faster turnaround time.
As a comparison to the technology we looked at last year, that we didn't have in the budgets, we couldn't purchase, where it changed who was speaking and it tracked video wise?
That's what the L.
The owl,
It does that.
fairly similar.
Yeah.
That was built into a board lot.
Right.
That was in the tens of $1,000 range. This was
Right.
very low cost and, like I said, mobile. So if the board ever wanted to get to the point where the rotating meetings again, it's literally just set up the camera. We don't, you know, we're not tied to all the tether
The
systems.
convenience outweighs the technology, for lack of a better word, yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of versatility with it.
Sounds good, we're the track.
Okay.
Thanks, Pam.
Thank you.
That's it.
That's it.
Next item is my update. Again, for those, I know only Lucy could go to the vacation, but it was really an energetic activity. Teachers were really engaged in the speeches and talks. I talked two basic things. One is that well, one interesting thing is that both Dr. Leggett and Chris and I all related somehow to St. Vincent Hospital. Chris and I were both born there, and their father doctors there. I don't know if you were born there or not.
Yes.
Yeah, so
It's
that
kind of
was
a family requirement.
a
My
relationship.
dad was a doctor there for 55 years.
So I probably spent some time in front of that, but I didn't know him, so. But I talked about, she had talked about trying to swim against the current, and I related that to sailing against the wind, because my swimming days are over, but the sailing against the wind, you have to tack when you're going in a different direction. And one of the things I said is the board is in a position to tack. We need to tack away from building stuff. For the last 5 years, we've been building lots of things. The football and stadium and the field house and the lights and a new school. And it's time for us to tack into the school, into the classroom, and into scholastics. We need to focus our attention as a board on the academic portion of this and make sure our investments are there and focus on that. That was one of the things I attacked. The other thing I happened to say was that our preschool or pre-K class has started as the class of 2040, and AI, as we're talking about now, is going to be part of their life, where for Lucy and I and some others, hopefully it's not part of our life too much, but we will deal with it. But I challenge the teachers is that they have to deal with actual intelligence in order for people and these kids to thrive. And so that was the kind of the two themes I was talking about. Again, I went to the schools and went into the classrooms right before school and was standing there on the first day. And I think David Kimball's got it under control pretty much from now on. So it looked good. We did have the retreat last weekend. Our first thing we did was go over the goals and objectives. And for all of you, we went through basically in a really rushed form to go over the goals. It needs us to go back and do some edits on the objectives. Lucy and Linda, I, or whoever else wants to get involved, we can get together and do that. And we also have to develop the performance appraisal system for a superintendent. And so we tentatively have Monday, late afternoon, if you're available. Linda,
Say again, Monday,
Monday afternoon, maybe?
this coming Monday.
I think that's when you said you could do something.
So they're closing for, oh. Monday afternoon.
I don't know, wait and see. Well, we could sit down and work on the performance system,
Yep,
like about 4:35.
perfection,
Huh?
perfection,
What time is profession? 4:30?
4:30.
Okay. Monday,
That would be essentially taking the draft brainstorming we came
Yeah.
up with the retreat and
Yeah.
formulating it into
Yeah.
that.
Into goals and objectives, and then just finalizing the evaluation part. And the survey.
then we'll send it out to everybody, or unless you want to come. The other thing we did was talk about committees. I've gotten a list of everybody, I think, except for two people of what committee they're interested in, but I will assign those to the committees. I think, Maura, I was gonna put you where you are now, I think. So I'll send that out later this week. But I think I've got everybody in place. I will call you and see if who's interested in chairing the committee. We do have to deal with the climate structure. We have to merge those two, so we have to merge the climate and well-being together. And leadership right now, the climate committee is by Jen, I
Statute.
guess. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so we have to adjust it to make it a board committee as well. So there's some structural stuff we have to write to get that to work. So hopefully those will all be in place by the October meeting. But I'll get the committee assignments out probably at the end of this week or early next week.
So those two are gonna meet separately,
Which,
the district climate and the board climate.
no, it's gonna be one committee,
Okay.
but then each school will have its own school climate committee. That's how the statute reads, is that there's one.
How does
like,
that-
the
The
one-
public facing form of it will be under us.
Yes.
The board committee. at
Okay.
this time.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know that was the issue before, as we had board members and administrators on the same committee. Okay.
And generally I put at least 3 board members, in some cases 4 on a committee. So hopefully those will work out for everybody.
Are we gonna reach out to public for the standing committees?
We will, but we have to wait until the board at the October meeting actually approves who is on the makeup of each committee. So that's the next step once we do this. And then once we solidify, yes, we're having these different constituents on this committee, then we'll put out the all call.
Did you ask about policy? Because at some point, once we get these committees established, I think we have to adjust.
Yeah.
the
Policy,
policy.
yeah,
Yeah,
go back to
right.
policy.
Because I couldn't hear.
Yeah, we have to review the policies to create some of these things as, the new committees.
Yep.
So.
And some of
that'll be
those,
well,
we can look at it, but some of the public on those committees, you may want to wait until December when after elections, and so you know who's on those committees, because some people may want to be more involved, or they may know somebody that wants to be involved that's on those committees
Yeah, there'll
already.
be a change in November and after the elections anyways.
Yeah.
So appointing constituents in December, then probably.
Because then it'd be in policy by then.
Yeah.
Or at least partly, yeah.
We should have it done before that.
Okay.
Also, I prepared a form for reporting on policies at committee meetings, which I used. So there's a form to fill out when you can report on what the committee did, so.
How did it work?
Huh?
How did the form work?
Well, I have to type it because, it wouldn't, it takes up a lot of space when you write it, but it works fine. It probably will help in the transcription of what's going on when I have it written that way. It also will limit the amount of time it takes if you stay within that box, it will keep our comments down low and let the minutes survive, so,
Oh, is that a hint?
yes.
Oh, it's not even a subtle hit, my friend.
So,
Had a lot goes on in a student cheat,
I know.
it's tough.
Well, maybe you could have 2 pages.
Stop it, you don't.
You're gonna give her a front and back.
But anyway, so those were the things, we did talk about communications at the board and make sure everybody reminds not to reply all. Even though there's a one website to get to everybody, don't reply every time that happens. It creates the possibility of a meeting, so you gotta be careful with that. And I think that's all for now. Everything else I have will come up under some other items. Okay. Any questions? The next is Kim.
Yes, okay, so I'm gonna actually take the next two. So the general fund has been, as of August of 2025, we've expended 11% of it. We've encumbered 61% and we've received 17% of our revenue. So that was the quick and easy one. With that, though, I think I will report before the next one is, I just wanted to talk about buses. We have had a learning curve here again this year with the buses. You know, the times that are on the website or on the portal are not always accurate. There's things that happen, there's long goodbyes, there's kisses, there's tears, there's traffic, there's a lot of things that occur. So, you know, you can't always, you know, judge by that, and things do straighten out. We've gotten better since day one. But we found out today that luckily we have a new driver. And so hopefully on Monday, we'll be able to start our routes a little bit differently. Obviously we'll message parents in enough time, but we have some very long routes, specifically mostly at Lyman, that we're trying to get those little ones onto different routes. And then we work that up from there, because then that uses congestion at Strong and then we use congestion at the high school. So that's our priorities at Lyman, and we're going to work it up. And then if we have a need, we can run maybe a type 2 to take some different areas off. So actively working on it. And I have to give credit to Robin Golombeski. Amazing. I say that she's got Google Maps up on this screen. She's got our software on this screen. She's on there. I'm out driving to places. So when I say we're actively working on it, I'm not kidding. So we want it to work out. So that was the good news today, was that we did get a driver from Westport, but he actually lives in Wallingford. So he's gonna be with us until we get a permanent driver, or he may be with us for the year. So, and we've had him before and we liked him. So that's really good news. So with that said, I'm going to move on to the second, the update on Strong and Memorial. I didn't have ONG or QA&M come, because really I thought I could kind of just give you the highlights. When there's issues that, or things with that we would like the board to know and weigh in on outside of the building committee, I'll invite them then, if that's okay with you. But if you want them every week, we're kind of getting into a phase where there won't be a lot to report every month. You know, we have to design, you know, until the construction actually starts. So we can revisit that. But in the meantime, they do send updates. ONG sent me one today. Strong is fully operational since the first day of school. Everybody came back. We had a couple of we have the new classrooms. We have the open areas at the end on both the upper and the lower floor that have been made into a classroom. And we also have an addition of a sandwich station on the outside of the cafeteria, the kitchen. It's in the cap and not in the kitchen. And that's for 5th and 6th graders to pick up their lunches faster, so we don't have the bottleneck. So I have some pictures of the new rooms. Patty went out and took them for me today. New guidance office. We've got, I don't have Noelle's, oh, she's gone anyways. And the new sandwich station. I don't want to put these on the website because you don't want to put schools, you know, necessarily that kind of stuff. Doesn't belong on a website, but if you guys want to pass that around. And Lyman, portable 5, the one classroom that was in room 23 moved in yesterday. And I also have pictures of Lyman classrooms, the new portables, and I've written on them what they are. So if you want to start that way. And I talked about the buses. Memorial, as we move forward, the plan design is continuing. I am working on getting bond anticipation notes because we have to pay for it. Just got a cash flow requirement for 12 months, so our first bond anticipation note will be for 20 million. We are opening reviewing the RFPs for our owner's project manager and our commissioning agent at the next building committee meeting. And we will on 9/17. That's an executive session piece of the meeting. And so then we'll be able to hopefully appoint our OPM and our commissioning agent, and then I can take a breath. So,
You got several proposals.
well, they're not due until Friday.
Oh, okay.
So I open them Friday and then we'll review them on the 17th. Nobody wanted to join me in a Friday night meeting, so I said, okay, we'll do it at the building committee. That's all I have.
And we're still on schedule, like with starting actual work.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We're still moving along just as we'd hoped.
So Kim, are all the students now at Lyman in the portables?
Correct. Yeah.
As
There's
a extra.
a portable that looks like somebody's moving in. That's actually our interventionists, and that's their office space. So
Nice.
that one is
Really nice.
Okay, the one thing that I heard, and I apologize because I meant to send an email and I forgot, and I just thought of it. Was with the portables that the Wi-Fi is a little, not to throw IT on the spot either, sorry, Ken. The Wi-Fi is like a little spotty out there, and I don't think they realized until everybody was trying to do iReady yesterday. And so there were like a lot of computers that weren't working, and well, my little one was like, wanted to do my iReady, but I couldn't. And I was like, yeah.
Thank you. All over it.
But they do think they're pretty fancy with having their own bathroom.
Yeah. They're actually, that's why I wanted you to see it. They did come out really nice.
Yeah.
You know, they look
The
so
repaired ones look
clean.
new.
They
know then.
They went top to bottom. They didn't take any shortcuts. They didn't cut any corners. They did it right.
Tim, out of curiosity, how long after the start of school did it take to get all that last class into the portable?
So that last one just moved in yesterday. on
So they
10th.
just moved in yesterday,
Yes.
so.
They had.
They
had 2 full days and 2 half days in room
That's it. That room 23 looked like a classroom. It wasn't just a bare room. It was still
Right,
very
yeah,
nice,
I
but it wasn't bare stuff.
And does that still put us on track for EAS for November start for abatement
Yeah.
and demolition, right? But that's what.
Yep. And after the meeting on the 17th, the building committee meeting where ONG and QA and come, they're gonna, talk about that. And then we can bring that back when we bring our reports.
Great, and you got a new bus driver to pick up the after the lineman.
Yes, yes.
Great.
I know that Kim said that Robin and, her team always does a really great job. Tiffany's also fantastic, but a testament to how hard Kim has been working, not only on the buses, but this project and everything that Kim has done. With all of it. Great gratitude to Kim and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Under item 10, board communications, and professional development. We did prepare a newsletter that we found it was too expensive to send out to every resident. So it is on Parent Square and it is on the website. It's 6 or 8 pages long. It has lots of information about what happened last spring with graduates. So what we decided to do is to send a postcard out to tell all the residents if they want to see it. We'll put a couple hundred copies at the library and community center and give them access to the website. So if they're not involved in school stuff, they wouldn't know how to find it. So the postcard will tell them how to get there. I don't know if we put a QR code on
We
there.
did,
We
yeah.
did a few. So they could access it directly, or they can stop at a library or town hall or community center to pick up a copy.
Where on the website is it?
The district dispatch, the.
Under the board.
So there'll be if the postcard has a way to get to it, I think.
We can pin it to the first page, the homepage.
Yeah. It hasn't gone out yet because we haven't gotten the copies back, so when the poster.
Okay, so it's not on.
The district dispatch should be on the website.
Yeah,
There.
it's on the website, so we'll give you an access to the, right to the document when you.
I went to, I'm at the Board of Ed page and I
Yeah.
just don't see where it is. Am I wrong? I did. Something.
It was under newsletters.
Yeah.
You can have Kim look and see where it's linked and make sure it's on the.
I think it was right at the bottom scrolling on the front page, wasn't
Anyway, we'll make it so it's
Yeah.
very visible.
Go back to the homepage.
Yeah, it's on the homepage at the bottom under communications, under Parents Squared, District Dispatch, August 2025.
it? Yeah, there it is.
Homepage at the bottom.
But we should link those to where they used to be,
Dispatch,
which was
right.
under board.
Roger Dodger, thank you.
Again, we have to make it so it's easy to get to. And the postcard will link it somehow.
Link a QR code to it.
The other thing on communications, we did receive a letter from the Meriden Hills Baptist Church and Mid-State Christian Academy. Many of you will remember they were interested in purchasing linemen a couple of years ago. They are still interested. We got a very nice letter from the pastor and principal indicating that they're interested and would really like to get together, talk about it. I think it's in plenty of time because, you know, the last time we got rid of a school, it took almost 4 years to resolve the distribution of that into the community center in term. So it was very nice to receive that letter, and we'll talk about it a little more under one of the next items. Also, any of the letters, you know, in the past, sometimes we used to list all the people that we wrote to, but now when I respond to anybody, I will send everybody else a copy. So we'll all be able to see what happened. I won't reply all, but I will reply to each of you, so. And some of the letters that have gone to Sydney will reply directly, not me. Because that's the appropriate answer will come from her on a couple of questions.
And
If
it's
you get anything
operational,
that
we're not
you
gonna-
don't think I responded to, let me know.
We're not gonna receive copies when it's operational, because I know when we're talking about in the past, Doug would CC us on things that he responded to, so I just want to make it clear. I think that's the intent, is that if it's operational, you're
Right.
responding to it unless it's board related.
So for the sake of the meetings, though, we are not making it public of who you receive emails for or from?
I don't think it's necessary. We haven't in the past. We just sent out, I did it a while ago, but in the last 3 years, that wasn't how it was done. It was just sent out a copy, everybody got a copy of the letter response.
But emails from the board were forwarded to the chair or the superintendent, and then those were responded to by.
Well, I mean, like right now in this, like in the meeting, are we reporting who you received or all of us have received emails from?
No, I'm not reporting who I received. I was gonna send copies of our response to you.
So we're no longer doing that anymore.
We can do it. It just seems like everybody already got it.
And then we
The
talked about,
purpose in the past is I didn't send anybody a copy. I just told you who I responded to. We now are sending you copies of what I responded to, which is better because you have the actual answer. So
I changed my mind.
you change your mind.
And for the people who, so I know we got one email that asks that the email be read for the minutes. How do you want to handle that?
We haven't done that in the past. If they come here and speak, it'll get in. But I don't see any purpose in doing that. Do you?
I do.
Huh?
I do.
Okay.
The
It's just
people
what we've
who
done.
are working second shift, split shift, who can't be here, but they would like their something read. I mean, I think it makes sense to build in something so that they can still participate even though they can't get here.
Could letters be
childcare issues,
attached?
transportation issues. There's so many reasons why someone may not be able to be here.
Could letters be attached to the minutes as opposed to reading them out loud? That way they're in the record, but.
Mm.
Cause I only think like if we have an issue where we have 60 letters, we're reading.
Well, that's
60
what I mean. I
letters in
think that
public
we
comment. Just have to
can,
be consistent.
right. And if they get the same, and again, I think it's a larger conversation, probably an agenda item to talk about, or a policy question
Policy
to talk
committee.
about.
Mhm.
Because I think that, like, give them a 3-minute, they get a 3-minute time limit also. So if it's 12 pages long, we read the first 3 minutes and then that's it. Or, like I said, have some kind of policy in place to allow for it.
We could have, a reference to the letter from so-and-so and that it'll be.
The
that they're
available minutes.
They'll be available for review if you want to look at it, hold them with the record.
Cause I would be concerned about any board member reading something that somebody sent in public comment if we didn't realize as we were reading, we were violating FERPA. You know, if there was a question about a student or anything.
Right, I would say it would have to go to the chair. Like
Yeah.
it's not like if somebody sent something to me and said, please read this. If that were to happen, I would then forward it to Bob. And then Bob and lawyery type people would decide whether or not it's okay to read.
Okay.
So what I guess what I'm referring to also is the fact that we received a letter from Amanda Betty concerning her concern of the executive session of September 6th. So are we no longer making that a public knowledge of when we receive certain letters from the community regarding certain matters? As we've done, I've been on the board for 6 or 7 years. I feel like that's what we've always done during communications, so I'm a little confused.
I don't have a problem listing who we got letters from. I have a problem reading them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but. And some of those letters are more of nature, of we're copied on something, but it's really to the superintendent, not to us.
We probably should have a more detailed discussion sometime, maybe put it on as agenda item, because when I was chair, I did list,
I did too in the
people,
past.
and then just a brief, maybe should, but that's it. I did not.
We need
get
to
into-
stop talking.
So,
Certain
Yeah.
emails come up.
Yeah,
Discussed,
that's
and
right.
that's where we get
So
into a
we
gray
should-
area in a public meeting.
yeah, we should, I think we should probably, that's what we want to do. This sounds
Yeah,
like a
all right.
lot of
Well,
work.
I'm gonna, we can list them and we'll have a meeting on policy, how to do it, but the best way to handle it.
Yep.
And also the letter, reading the letter into the record.
Okay, yeah. All right,
Because we haven't really addressed that ever, we just kind of done it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
ever since I've known.
that's true.
So I think this should probably go through a policy committee,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We have about 6 things on the agenda already.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know anymore.
That was loud.
We can always add.
Yeah, you think on word roll.
All right. That was it on communications. We'll have a policy committee, we'll get together and figure out how to handle all the communications in a more precise way. All right, the next item on the agenda is new business. The first on the addition is to set the graduation date for next year on June 12th, 2026. Does anybody want to make a motion to do that?
Second.
John did that.
Yeah, I'm invited.
Any discussion?
Admin's good with it?
Huh?
Mhm.
Yeah. Again, if we have snow days and stuff that go later, or the seniors still get out on June 12th. All right,
And that solidifies all activities for the seniors, senior night.
yeah,
All projects.
graduation.
Yeah. Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Jason still in mind.
Jason, you still there?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yay or nay?
Yay.
The next item is we need some volunteers for teacher negotiations.
So, I don't know, Kevin, if you want to say anything, but essentially we're hoping to have 4 people. We need 2 people to be committed to being on that negotiation team and 2 people to be alternates, because we always want to have at least 2 board members at the table.
And when does the negotiation start?
So we're scheduled to begin negotiations, Bob, October 6th. That's the
October.
earliest date we can start.
And done by,
November 25th is the mediation date.
Just before Thanksgiving.
I'm volunteering.
I'll do it if she needs someone.
I think
Huh?
Greg told her.
We've done it before.
I'm actually, especially within that time, I'm doing a lot of traveling in October, so.
Yeah, I already sent you an
Yeah,
I'm fine doing it. I do have one vacation
It's a
scheduled,
lot of
week of November
time.
10th. Yeah, no, that's
It
fine.
is
I've
a
done
lot
it
of
before.
time. Mhm.
Yeah,
they're,
the committee meetings.
sometimes they go to like midnight.
Yeah.
there's food, right? Is there still food?
Sometimes there's,
If there's not food, I don't know.
There better be food.
No, I remember being really hungry. last night.
There's food, we have bread and water. That'll sustain us.
Provide food one night. Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
we kind of
Always
alternate
be
between the
supportive.
teachers bringing stuff in.
Yeah, that's what I thought, I remember, yeah.
So I have Lucy and Bob. Anybody else who kind of needs some backups? Christine?
Yeah, no, I
That
said,
you would
I
do.
said I would do it, yeah.
One more.
I will in a pinch, but I may have a few I have to miss.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah.
You got enough?
Yep.
Thank you.
Just the 3 of us.
And Lindsay, you will be there. As long as we're done before.
Right. Right.
Next item is the plan of conservation and development. I sent everybody kind of a proposal or a document. The town of Durham is revising a plan of conservation and development. They sent me a format to fill out of the school facilities as they are, the facility changes, the enrollment. They do, and education costs. And then goals, significant events and concerns for the next decade and goals and hopes. So, I think it was pretty straightforward. Their plan is due on August of next year. I don't remember the date, but it's late August. They have to have the public hearings coming up this spring. They're supposed to meet with all the committees and all the boards. And they, so they were happy that I followed those first and that, they followed the instructions. I told them the board didn't approve this just, a summary of information. But a couple of things that came up during the meeting, one, they would like, Kim is gone, but they would like, a copy of our population projections. And our school projections, but in that we have population projections as well. And they would also like the capacity of the schools, the actual capacity of seats. So like they know that the high school has more capacity than it's being used. They want to know the capacity and the capacity of Brewster since it'd be closed.
So on
So
the
they-
enrollment, the high, middle and low. Is what
Huh?
they're asking for, like the high, middle and low.
No, they just wanted the actual capacity of the building.
Oh, okay.
So this building, if we put 25 kids in a class, how many kids can hold? So Kim's back, so I'll tell her again.
So do they want that based on our current class size policies, or do
No,
they
they
want
just want
like
it
actual
all
like
in.
fire code capacity? how
I
many
just
kids
want to
we can
know,
get?
how many kids, how much room is
Looking
in,
for
Okay.
enrollment, high school.
yeah, so they wanted the population projections and the class capacity of the buildings. Not class size, but capacity.
Just our
And Durham, Brewster and Strong. and-
class capacity and
High
current
school.
enrollment.
Wouldn't hurt for them to see all of them though.
So if we have those, it'd be good to present them.
Would that also include Memorial when it's finished, their capacity, or didn't want to include?
They didn't ask for that, but I gave them the capacity, the design capacity we're using is 695 kids. That's the median projection level. So we don't have anything else other than that to give them. So they would like that. I think they're mostly interested in that we have actual recent population projections that they probably. don't
That's
need to-
easy.
And we have enough
Buy it.
room so they don't have to.
That's on the
go to another
website,
School.
Well, I think
We
they're
just
looking
had-
at the whole town.
We just did.
Bob, that's on the website, but I can still work with you on that. Enrollment
Yeah.
projections.
Yeah, and also the population of, our initial study for enrollment included population projections and student projections, right? In the report. Yeah, that's the one.
Get that to them.
I think they would like a hard copy of that. In terms of, we went through what we've done in the last 10 years, which are quite a bit of change from this school. And they were concerned about what are we gonna do with the Brewster and Lyman schools? And how are we gonna handle the closure of those schools, knowing what happened with Corn School? They were interested that we get going. My suggestion is that we meet with the selectmen sometime in the pretty near future when we get some of the RFPs done and things like that. And then see what the interest is. Brewster School has some legal issues attached to it and to the property. We have to figure out how to do that. Lyman School is much easier. We went through that once already in looking at it. We have a request. We probably have to develop an RFP just to see if there's any other interest out there. But I think it's an important part of the next steps of this. 2 years is not a long time in this process, as we have found out. So
What was the name of the people who were interested, who reached out?
It's for planning and some, oh,
it's the Meriden
The map.
Baptist,
Meriden Hills Baptist Church.
Meriden
Hills
Hills
Baptist.
Thank you.
and they have a
What's the school
Meriden
name?
Christian Academy.
Mid-State Christian Academy.
They have a school from K to 12.
It's currently in Meriden.
Yeah. And the pastor's been before the board a couple times in the past. So that was it. Any questions? I don't think the board needs this. If you think anything's in here that you think the board needs to change or adjust, the only probably controversial thing I put in at the end is reevaluate the election process, the Board of Education members for consistency with Middlefield and minimize political influence in the school. I think,
So, typo,
huh?
little typo there.
There's probably a lot of typos.
No, that's the only one that keep it so far. That was good.
My fingers no large. So anyway, those are that was presented. They were very interested and had a lot of really good discussion, and there'll be public hearings in the future.
It'd be nice if your monthly meetings, if you can touch base with the first selectman and see where, what the pulse is on that and with the facilities and maybe put it on for agenda item next month and
Yeah,
I think there's.
be good to.
then formulate some
going.
sort of public
Yeah.
hearing or whether, I think that the towns could probably do that.
Yeah.
Just to see what the public engagement is on that.
We actually get through we've gone partially into the Brewster deeds and all that stuff. We have to get through the restrictions on that use of that property. And whether or not we can overcome it.
And we should engage with DAS, because I know that it's considered surplus only after we're
After
not
it's
using it
built.
as swing space, so.
It's not
well,
surplus yet.
Right, so we should ask DAS, can we even plan for the disposition of the buildings before it becomes surplus property?
We should ask, yeah. Put that in our meeting notes. Okay, any other questions on plan of conservation development? The next, pardon?
Good job.
Next is a policy review. The first one on this. Policy committee met to deal with these. Because of the state requirements to basically rescind the bullying and safe school climate plan of 5131.8 and replace it with school climate policy, climate and culture policy, I think is the actual name of it.
Yeah.
5131.911. The it changes, it incorporates a lot of the bullying stuff. There is concerned that if any action that was started under the previous policy, they will stay under the previous policies if, you know, as long as that this doesn't change the method at which they were handled. And so they would stay under the current policy that they've been working on.
Yeah, the board had adopted the shipment policy for school climate in March, you know, like getting ready to approach the new legislation. And then there was a change, like I think it was less than 2 or 3 weeks after you voted in the shipment policy that there was a statewide recommendation to use the CAVE policy. So this is just making sure that the school district is in line with the CAVE policy. Shipman recommends that as well.
And just excuse my ignorance, because I'm this is not my area where I shine or have any sort of expertise, but from what I like read quickly before trying to prepare, like this is actually like mandated by the state of Canada, like, so like, because I think like, you know, sometimes it does seem like I started going down a rabbit hole and reading a lot about the pros and cons of it and whatnot. And so I could see how like, you know, the perception would be like, oh my gosh, they're rescinding like a bullying policy, but it's like, no, actually, like, this is mandated and we're trying to, how it incorporates the restorative practice and.
Right. The main changes, from what I understand from like, some people also say repeal instead of rescind. I don't know what your preference is, but repeal and replace or rescind and replace, is that, the thinking was that the bullying policy really just was a focus on bullying, whereas the school climate policy is like an umbrella policy to really approach your entire district climate and culture. And then that's the first major change. And so you address everything through challenging behavior. So it's not like, yes, you might wind up having a bullying investigation along the way, but everything is looking under all the challenging behavior that the umbrella of challenging behavior that schools have to deal with. And then the other major change is the requirement of the restorative practices in there. So those are the two big changes in moving towards the CAVE policy.
And is it mandated or just recommended?
It's mandated.
It was mandated after 23-167, that public act was put into place. And the state basically had CAVE and Commission on Women, Child, Seniors, Equity, I think, and Opportunity, and statewide members on the Social Emotional Learning and School Climate Collaborative put together the policy together. So it's CAVE's policy, but we put Shipman's in place at the time because CAVE hadn't taken a stance on it and hadn't developed the policy in March.
Again, under our process, this is the first read of these changes, so it needs to go to the October meeting for actual vote. So we don't really have to do anything, but if you have any questions in the next month. The next one is.
Just have one question, I'm sorry. So if it's mandated, do we have to vote on it?
Yes,
We
you're
do still, even
required
if it's a
to
state
adopt
mandate?
it as a policy.
Okay.
Yeah. And all the forms are regulations. A lot of most of the policies you'll see are state mandated.
Okay.
But they already have the statutory sections in that. The next one is sexual discrimination and harassment in the workplace. This is not for students, this is for the personnel. The one on the student one has not changed, and this is a really quick update from our last, I think we did this in spring. And so this is just a change in the statute.
Federal guidelines.
There's all the Title IX stuff and stuff like that. Again, if there's any questions. And the last one is a new policy on live animals in school. We've had live animals in schools, but we've never had a policy on it.
Yeah.
Superintendent has developed a very comprehensive policy that
Yeah, so
hope you read.
yeah, we have a couple things prompted this. And the district didn't have a policy yet, but we do have a service animal that's going to be coming into the district. So it's really important that you have a policy for how to work with approach service animals and how that is going to go in any school. And then we have had a couple of requests for therapy dogs in the different schools. So we just wanted to make sure that we had everything in line with best practices for those and with the service animals that we're aligning with. Not just like our insurance needs, but with IEPs, with ADA compliance, for any disabilities, et cetera. So, Shipman usually has 2 policies for this. I wanted it in one, like, I don't think we need 2 animal policies. So, everything is in here from looking at a service animal to a therapy animal to when animals may be coming in for instruction or for a presentation. You know, if somebody brings a giant boa constrictor and, you know, they're showing that to the class. Or right down to also live animals in terms of the guidelines. So if you actually have a classroom pet, you know, there are some classrooms that benefit from an actual resident in the classroom, permanent resident. So this policy covers everything that we would need to do with live animals.
We had a really cute therapy pig come like a year or 2 ago. Bacon.
Bacon.
Oh, he's famous. in
He is,
Connecticut.
he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just skimmed it.
Yep.
One
Which policy?
suggestion,
Animals?
the aminals.
Okay.
And I might have missed it. The idea that the therapy dog needs to, right, and they're a team,
Yeah.
right, that they've been trained together. So you can't just bring in a therapy dog and let
Right.
them run loose, that they have to be accompanied by their
The
handler.
handler.
So
Mhm.
it may be in there. I
Okay.
apologies if it is and I missed it. Because I just read it now.
Okay.
But I would say that would be something that should be in there if it's not already.
Okay.
Harper, good with it?
Yes, she's excellent with policy. She's good. She's
Yeah, this is
actually
the
going
first-
for her 2-year reevaluation on the 20th. She's prepping.
Again, this is the first read. If you have any other animals you want to add to the list?
Fine.
No. All right, so those will be back on the October agenda for our final review and approval.
You, this is a process question. Do you, when you're repealing a policy, like former bullying policy, do you do that through a second read as well?
We have,
Okay, great. Good.
and they disappear and make redundant numbers.
Okay.
All right, fortunately, I'm not gonna be doing these much longer, so committee reports, the policy committee, we did what we just talked about. I did fill out the form. And the form requires the date of the meeting, meeting summary. I did the summary, and then it says review board information to draft policies up to the board, and then board action required is to put it on the agenda. So that was the first one. Any other questions on the policy committee?
You don't have to read it.
I already said everything that's in there.
Probably read.
I already said
We
everything.
only have to write it, that's good.
On the building committee of August 20th at 5 o'clock. O&G gave an update on the swing space, went through the status of the swing space where it was. And the things that were needed to finish up. It has been finished up since then. We met Howie and John DiMatteo met with the principals on traffic. And talked about arrangements. They painted a bunch of new traffic lines and at both schools. So that be smoother anyway. QA&M went over the preliminary design. We went through the schematic changes for the schematic design, and it basically went through the many changes they had in value engineering in order to, eliminate parts that could save money. And they saved about $5 million of cost in adjusting some of the design features. They also spent time about going through geothermal instead of oil and gas, and we rejected it because of it'd be another $2 or $3 million cost on top of what we've already proposed, and it wasn't included in the original design, and we said we can't go ahead and reissue a new bond issue for that. We had a long discussion, and Kim has had a follow-up discussion with getting whether or not the town would waive building permits. It's my understanding from what I read is that Middlefield will not. they are eligible for reimbursement, so their building permits are in the $500,000 range, I think, right?
There was
Three.
300, yeah. So anyway, that went on, the RFP was going out for the commissioning agent and the owner's rep. And operation program manager.
So we've reached out since the building committee, because remember, building committee, we were gonna reach out to the town to find out if they were willing to
We met
waive
with
those
them.
permits. So
Yeah.
We
both
met with
Durham
them.
and Middlefield were not willing to waive those permit fees.
Right.
Well, Durham, won't really have any coming up.
It is
because
a small one from,
Yeah,
yeah.
and that's already, we've already spent that. It's really this middle where Memorial is.
I think actually it's fun, the problem is funding the building official in Middlefield. That's what I got the impression.
Yeah, that the permit fees would pay for a part-time building official that would handle the projects, which would be ours, the safety complex, and then I guess there's a church project.
We also approved about 6 invoices from the project for various small aspects on the swing space. And we also talked about the fire suppression is now complete at Strong School and the high school using the current public water system, and we saved several, I don't know, $100 and some odd $50,000 for not having to build a new pump station at the high school site. The tennis courts are still on our agenda. They agreed to have Nathan Jacobson come in and do a study of the drainage where the bleachers are and going between that and the softball field fence line. If that would drain, they found that some of the drains were connected. So Nate Jacobson's office was gonna come in and do a study. I don't know if Eric's got that done yet. But that's what we talked about there. Any questions? The minutes are pretty complete, so.
But, I don't know if we talked about a building, if not, we can stop and do it somewhere else, but do we have an update on the concession stand, whether it's operational or?
It's operational. Yep, we have the equipment in there. Kim, Eric, Patty all worked really hard on that. We have the only thing that they have to do is grill outside. We have a nice sign up sheet to use it and then a checklist of what has to be done whenever anybody's using it. So I think that's all going pretty smoothly. It is.
Was in use at the soccer game last Tuesday night or Tuesday night.
And are is the new PA system in for the press box?
Not yet.
It's not yet.
Not that I heard anyway, but I thought it was
No.
still in
Todd-
that yet. I don't even know if it
Todd
actually
told me
arrived.
Yeah,
It was-
they have.
Todd told me it was in at the soccer game and they were using it.
There was some type of announcing, but I don't know whether or not it was in
I
this.
don't know. Todd said it's in and I don't know. So you have to
We
check.
have not gotten an update,
Yeah.
so I was assuming it wasn't because I didn't get an update, but.
I just want to make
check.
sure, I just don't know if we have a backup, because I know there's a night game on Friday. I'm not sure if there's other night games this week and whether.
So we're gonna be purchasing a portable sound system. I don't know when that'll come in. I don't know if that would be here by Friday, honestly, but we are purchasing that and then that could be a backup if we need it.
Todd told me it was in
Okay.
and they were talking. I don't, so I tried.
No, there was just a lot of talk. People have reached out to me, so I just wanted to.
People were talking over a loudspeaker when I was at the game. That's all I know.
There you go.
Todd told me it was in. They were testing it, I think. We had another building committee meeting on August 26th. We voted to approve the payment to O&G for $1.3 million. They're 70% complete on the work at that time on the swing space. The total cost is 1.8 million. And so we voted to approve that, and they voted to accept the memorial schematic design estimate, which eliminated through value engineering a variety of things and brought this cost down to within our budget, actually under our budget. So that's what we did in those 2 meetings. Any questions? Thank you. Any other comments? Not public comment, or back on public comment? Any public comment? Any online public comment?
I see 2 people online, but I don't see any hands up right now.
No public comment, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all for coming.